And we are live.
Yeah, we're not recording yet. We're just live, so people can see the method before the madness goes into the show. And we tweeted out the links to these, so we didn't want people to come on and not see it, and that would have sucked. So, what's up, everybody? All right. The last time we did this, I started playing the YouTube on my phone of what we were doing here.
Yeah.
And it's weird, dude.
It's trippy, right? Yeah, I was doing the same thing.
It's weird because I was like, oh, you can see how many people are watching, and you're like, this is weird. Is it weird that we're looking down at Wayne's basement, but it's not really Wayne's basement?
Oh my god.
Hey, someone's watching. It's probably just me. Is it weird that we're looking down at Wayne's basement, but it's not really Wayne's basement?
Oh my god.
There's Hey, someone's watching. Probably just me. Is it weird that we're looking down at Wayne's basement?
Let's just play that on loop for an hour.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. Who needs a show?
It's an entertaining ass show right there. These
Sure
people that like Wayne's World will like it.
It's true. I mean, if you don't like Wayne's World, are you even American? Let's be honest.
Probably not. And if you are, I don't want to hang out with you.
If you don't like Wayne's World, why don't you just get out?
She's get out.
Get out.
All right, well, I got my handy dandy little rundown here.
Ah, wow.
And yeah, you boys ready?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm.
Let me do the thing where we actually record this.
Record this here conversation.
Is this episode 32?
It feels like, I don't know, you lose track of time when you're having this much fun.
Is it? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Let me know when you boys are ready.
Ready whenever you are.
Ready to roll.
All right. Recording. All right. So the first 3 seconds of my recording is Sean just demolishing keyboard keys. All right. Get this burp out. Okay. What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, November 29th. You have found the 312 podcast, and the Cubs had more wins in November than the Bears. So that's a great indication of where this show is going. So strap it down and let's get ready to go. We got a big show for you guys, a little turkey hangover show. We're going to talk about the Bears, Sky Point for that awesome tank win versus Tennessee. I was about to get really mad if they would have pulled that game off. But
dude, I was biting my nails thinking they were going to come back and win that.
I haven't seen that many drops since Hot Hands Heenan in the movie Little Giants. So that was awesome.
Your dog's like that joke.
Well, apparently you don't like Little Giants, so you might as well just show your way out. We're going to talk Bulls.
I was just saying
We're going to take Bulls. End of the circus trip. They're going to end it with a winning record. We're going to talk a little bit about when some of these guys are going to come back from injuries, and Peck is going to mess your brain up with some crazy stats that might make you think about the Bulls a little bit better. We'll talk about the Blackhawks. Captain Hawk is down, but we'll talk about where they're at without him. And then we got some MLB. Is it hot stove yet? Can we call it hot stove, or do we just say off season?
Yeah.
Call it hot stove?
It's hot stuff.
All right, we'll go hot stove.
We're there.
We're going to talk a little MLB hot stove. Sean Mr. Insider, he's got some scoops for you on where Chris Sale might be ending up. I feel like every show we do, there's a new place Chris Sale might end up. So if we just keep doing all these, when it does happen, we could be like, yeah, we totally reported that first. So
You're right.
all that being said, big show. Sit down, get yourself a cup because we're about to tap this keg. All right, well, we're just going to get this out of the way. We're going to talk about the Bears game because, I mean, what do you say about the Bears game? It was just –
Thank God they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory, right?
Ooh.
There it is.
They lose 27-21 to the Titans. Could have 100% won that game, like 3 different times? But they're still slotted as a top 3 pick right now if the NFL draft was going down. So we got that going for us, which is nice. Yeah, the Bears receivers. Let's talk about this for a minute. They dropped 10 balls on Sunday, which, hey, I mean, setting records is always fun. So it's a record for the most in one game since Pro Football Focus started in 2006. But my personal favorite one, the metaphor for the entire season, and my new Bears MVP, Mr. Bellamy. Guy, I mean, it hit him. The nose of the ball hit him literally right between the numbers.
Between the numbers.
He touched the ball with both his hands as that ball was hitting him in the numbers in the end zone for a potential game-tying touchdown, and he just dropped it. So shout out to Mr. Bellamy because you are the tank win MVP right now. 100% tank win MVP. As one of our big bosses here, Mr. KG, said, you know how in later rounds of the draft they let like a different celebrity or a former player from a team go up and announce the draft pick? Yeah. They should let Bellamy do it because it's because of him that this draft pick is going to be so high. So I totally agree. KG, you had me in stitches. I was dying when I read that one on Sunday. But, I mean –
with the second overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Bears select someone better than me, Josh Bellamy.
Yes. Well, let's be realistic. It'll be like in the second round, the Bears draft some guy from Abilene Christian that's really fast, and it's pretty much all he has going for him. But he has a very high ceiling.
They did love getting Abilene Christian guys.
Dude, it was unbelievable. So that was the bad. I mean, there was some good things in this game. Nobody really knew.
Well, before we get to the good, you can't only put the bad on Bellamy. Like that one, his drop in the end zone on that game, on that what would have been a game-winning drive was absolutely atrocious, and you said it hit him right between the numbers.
I don't think I've ever seen a worse drop in football.
On 4th and goal, Deontay Thompson should have caught that pass, catch to make, but he should have caught it. Marquise Wilson had 2 crucial drops. Cam Meredith had a bad drop. Mm-hmm. All of them like in the red zone or the end zone. So 10 total. Yes, Bellamy's was the worst of the bunch, but look around and everyone that Barkley was throwing to on Sunday was just hanging him out to dry. And you gotta. I guess if you want to talk about some of the good, you can say that Matt Barkley in his first NFL start, terrible. 2 bad interceptions, including that one in the end zone that took points off the board for the Bears, but he did not get a whole lot of help from that, hodgepodge group of wide receivers.
No, and he had a makeshift offensive line. And then, all right, so you have your third-string quarterback, okay, guy who, what is this, his 3rd NFL team? And there's a reason why this is his first NFL start. So what better way then let's have him throw it 54 times. That'll show him. That'll show him.
Most passing attempts in Bears franchise history for Matt Barkley's first career start. Like, why does that make any sense?
And it boggles my mind.
The only thing I could see them making sense is they could have maybe wanted to see like what the kids got. I don't know. I think 54 times is probably too fucking much.
54, dude.
Even 54. So, I mean, he
was 20.
I mean, to be fair, they were having a pretty rough game running the football. They were down for the majority of the game. So, I mean, I can see why, but yeah, God.
I get the whole playing from behind thing as far as your crazy attempt total, but when Jordan Howard was getting carries in the first half, he was tearing off big chunks. Like he averaged 4.6 yards per carry in this game. Finished 18 carries, 84 yards. I get the whole playing from behind aspect, but that excuse and that explanation only goes so far when your rookie running back is hands down the most competent piece of your offense right now.
Without a doubt. Well, he went 28 for 54. I can't say that without laughing. 316 yards, but I'm guessing if you throw the ball 54 times, you should probably put up over 300 yards. He did throw 3 touchdowns. We got to see that elusive Matt Barkley to Dan Brown connection that the league is just raving about right now.
The way they called that touchdown. God, you would have thought like, oh God, the world was coming to an end, or it was like about to be like in extreme joy because the freaking Matt Barkley connected with Dan Brown. The way that announcer went through, it was like, oh, and it's a touchdown for Chicago. Like they hadn't done this before.
I honestly, I had to look into who. I thought Dan Brown was tailgating before the game, and like, yeah, you're a pretty big guy.
Because we really hadn't heard anything about him. It's like when Zach Miller goes down, it's like, okay, well, you got Logan Paulson, who, I mean, really, do we have to? And then the kid Ben Broniker, who looks like a potentially interesting piece in training camp. We heard a lot of good things about him in training camp, but then he's hasn't been a factor through the first 10 weeks of the season.
That's the kid from
Broniker got a lot of targets, but not a whole lot of action. This Dan Brown guy getting this is what the Bears have come to.
Yeah, I mean, in my head, I just picture someone from the Bears organization, shit, we need a tight end, walking out, and there's some guy at 9 a.m. He's probably 4 natty lights deep, and he catches a pretty sweet fade pass from his uncle, who used to be a high school quarterback back in the day, and he's like, "That's pretty good, man. How do you feel about suiting up today?" And then boom, he scores a touchdown. This is how I'm drawing it up in my head. I don't know. But whatever. I mean, the moral of the story is it was a tank win. Shout out #tank win. Because why on earth would you want this team to be winning right now? I mean, what does that do?
I mean, it accomplishes nothing if you squeal wants that win because John Fox is in the second year of this program, undeniably taking a step back, and you can point to 15, including several key players, getting put on IR at some point or another throughout the first part. The latest of which being Daniel Trevathan, who we hear has a torn patellar tendon.
Why not?
He's done for the year. Might take a full in that, essentially just as bad, if not more serious than a torn ACL. So what? This is something I was thinking about when that happened. It's really frustrating. Trevathan suffered that injury with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter of a meaningless game. Yeah, the Bears were making a comeback, and yeah, the Bears defense, forced a quick 3 and out to get the ball back to try back with that game-winning drive, but this is supposed to be the focal point of our offense moving forward, or of our defense moving forward. So you need to be out there. 2 minutes left in a meaningless game. It just really sucks that he's a huge piece of our defense, and now we're probably not going to have him ready to go week 1 next season.
Yeah, it's just
it's really freaking annoying.
I mean, the whole Danny Trevathan thing. At this point, if you're a Bears fan, when that news came out, I'm guessing 80% of you just reacted like I did when you're just like, sure, why not?
Why not? But yeah, right. That's exactly what I was like. It's like, of course,
everyone else on the team is. I mean, we got guys that'll probably be on the practice squad on other teams starting at wide receiver right now, and Matt Barkley's the freaking quarterback. Your 2 stud linebackers that you acquired this offseason, one cheated and one's hurt for the season. I mean, it's just, dude, this season is, again, it is a train wreck into a dumpster fire that's filled with diapers filled with Indian food. It is just the worst. I can't even like fake it anymore, man. It's almost to the point where like in anything in life, when it gets so bad, you just start laughing. And that's where I'm at with this Bears team.
That's the therapeutic way Bears fans have to look at, have to deal with what we're looking at right now. I mean, it's so bad that it's funny. I mean, you try to find bright spots, particularly try to find bright spots among the youthful players on this roster who are hopefully going to be around for the long haul, or at least the next 4 seasons. And I guess on that note, one thing I did like about Sunday's game is I thought the rookie inside linebacker Nick Kwiatkowski looked pretty good filling in for Jarrell Freeman, playing next to Trevathan. I thought Kwiatkowski made a couple of really big plays in this game, including I'm pretty sure he was solely responsible for a goal line stuff when the Tennessee Titans were in a goal-to-go situation there in the second half. So thoughts like that, especially when it comes to the young kids, but you hope that they make strides and aren't completely disheartened by the season while really racking up losses is in the Bears fans' best interest right now.
Yeah, I love that crazy Polish dude, man. He goes one speed. Like, he is just a freight train out there. And, hey, if this gets him – this is what I guess the other side of the spectrum here is, for guys like that, you're now going to get the most valuable thing a guy like that can get, and that's legit playing time. So we'll see who steps up. Obviously, the receivers aren't 10 drop passes, dude. Like, I just – oh, man.
Crazy. I don't know. Did all of those drop passes – you guys I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say on this. Did it make you think a little bit harder about whether or not the Bears should offer Alshon Jeffrey a contract next season? Because that's what I was thinking about as I was watching all those guys. Cam Meredith, Josh Bellamy, they're dropping pass after pass after pass. Barkley's putting them in their hands on their numbers. And I know Alshon's complicated, and he has maybe an attitude problem, and he's got these soft tissue injuries that linger, and now the suspension. There's all kinds of problems. He's playing in his franchise tag year without a WR1 fell, and there aren't that many of them lying around. Are you ready to let Alshon walk, given what we saw from the Bears receiving corps on Sunday?
There's a lot of time between now and then. I definitely think that if the trend of what happened on Sunday keeps going for the rest of the season, with like none of these wide receivers really stepping up and showing they could be a WR3 when everyone's healthy, or even, a fourth guy, it's going to completely kind of flip the script too when you talk about draft strategy. Because now you're going to have to start looking like, do we got to get like a receiver in the third round, which was definitely not on the docket when this season began. No one would have ever even thought of that.
Well, I'm sure Sean is second round because, Kevin White's going to come back and be an elite receiver in his third.
I mean, he very well could. I don't think it's out of realm of possibility.
Oh my God.
Why is it ridiculous? Anyways, I don't know. I mean, you look at it, it's the same receiving crew or core that you had last year when Alshon was hurt and it was just Jay Cutler, it's been an issue for a couple of years now, really, outside of, when it dropped down from Alshon, the receiving core was really, really weak. Cam Meredith is a decent option, but it showed last night when he's the only option, or 2 days ago, when he's the only option, he's kind of easy to cover and blanketed. Marquez Wilson came back, or Marquise Wilson, however you want to say his first name, showed some potential, but he dropped, just as many balls as anyone else yesterday. So I don't know. You maybe look and see what you can get in free agency. Eddie Royal hasn't been maybe as reliable as you'd hope for, but he's not terrible either. I don't know. You got to worry, but at the same time, I think you got to focus on getting players that are going to fill a need and fill a role. Skill position players, while important, aren't necessarily what wins you football games all the time. Right now, the biggest thing is the Bears couldn't consistently run the football. So that's why Matt Barkley throws the ball 54 times. You got to look at what you got going with your tackles. Your defensive line, when injured, is extremely thin. Eddie Goldman had a huge stop yesterday. It was awesome to see him back, but when he's not playing, it's very obvious. So, you've got more. I think you've got more issues you have to worry about than the receiving core and skill position players. While it's important,
I think
it's maybe thinking.
I think you just highlighted like the blanket. You just named like 4 other positions that they need to draft, and unfortunately, there's only X amount of rounds in the NFL draft. Like we knew going into this season that one of the biggest problems for this Bears team would be their depth. Like that wasn't a secret, everyone. And unfortunately, what's the ongoing joke now every Sunday that the beat writers tweet how the Bears have the longest injury report of any team in the NFL? Like, come on, it's like a cruel joke, dude.
It really is. Yeah, I agree.
Let's get to more positive stuff. Let's take a turn out of negative town here, and let's go into these very, as what I feel, underappreciated Chicago Bulls. I think
definitely
they aren't getting the love from the city that they deserve, but people
garnering.
What? Anyways, so
Sean was just throwing out a word choice for you.
Yeah. Okay. Graduate college, you're just trying to run up me with throwing out big words. That's cool.
Think you're better than me? You think you're better than me?
I think people are starting to realize as they keep winning, and you see highlights and things of this nature. But I think they're flying under the radar here, even in their own city. I mean, they're always going to sell out games. The Bulls have never had a problem with that. It's just like on social media and stuff like that. I don't think they're getting the love that a team that just went 4-2 on the circus trip. You have a great duo going in Butler and Wade. Butler's averaging 28 a game during the last 6 games. Wade's averaging 22 in the last 5 games. I mean, and they're not even playing at full strength right now. You got McDermott. He's practicing, but no contact. And then you still got MCW waiting in the rings, getting better. So, Peck, you wrote a really good article today. I've read it. It's on sportsmockery.com. Yes, I did read, or I had someone read it to me.
It is.
But there's some really interesting stats floating around showing that this Bulls team is the real deal around the NBA. So why don't you kind of dive in on that a little bit?
Article that I wrote about it was about the new power rankings that came out from Mark Stein and ESPN. The Bulls made another jump. They were 8 week. They came in this Monday as the team in the NBA. And Stein had a really interesting stat in his little blip about the Bulls, which is that others and the Warriors, so basically the 2 powerhouses, perhaps along with the San Antonio Spurs, Clippers, Warriors, and Bulls are the only 3 teams in the NBA to rank in the top 10 in both offensive and defensive, which I was blown away by. The Bulls are 7th in offensive efficiency and 8th in defensive efficiency, which it's like, take your pick. Which one's more surprising? Because they're both surprising. We had all these concerns about what the Bulls were going to be offensively, not having the shooters for pace and space Fred Hoiberg offense. Not sure if Rondo was a good fit. Wade can't shoot threes. Butler can't. And the Bulls offensively are scoring easy nights. A lot of that has to do with Jimmy Butler's aggression and getting to the free throw line, hitting the offensive boards. Yeah. And then on the defensive side, you thought all sorts of problems would exist because Hoiberg's not a defensive coach. They were middle of the pack at best last season, and you didn't think they were going to get any better with guys like Nico and Doug taking a bigger role. And offensively, they're great, but defensively, that's plain as day. And then losing Joakim Noah, I think their interior defense is going to take a hit. But so it's incredibly surprising that they're ranked top 10 in both of those stats. And your record after a 6-game road trip where they come home 4-2, it's surprising that this Bulls team might actually be a hell of a lot better than I or most NBA analysts gave them credit for.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like they're not getting the respect and it's almost in some cases, a great thing because, everyone's making a big deal about Russ Westbrook tearing up the league with the triple-doubles, as they should. Cleveland's off to, the best start in their franchise history. Cool. The Sixers aren't garbage. Awesome. These are, the big storylines coming out, and then it's just kind of like the Bulls, kind of just doing their thing, floating around, winning games.
I think this is something you look at the top comments underneath Peck's article he just wrote here. It's people saying stop or it's been only 16 games, whatever, blah blah blah. Yeah, that's a fourth of the season. That's
I was gonna say, almost a quarter of the season.
Yeah, it's really close to a fourth of the season. I mean, this team has looked good. If you watch even just a couple games, that's another thing too. I think the Bulls have only had a couple, maybe 2 nationally televised games. I don't feel like unless you're a big diehard NBA fan that's going to constantly watch the NBA League Pass, the Bulls aren't a team you're really looking at. I mean, I feel like people have checked at the box scores and oh, Butler with 40 points, Wade with 32. Oh, that's interesting. These guys are playing good on defense. I feel like it's going to – once Christmas rolls around and they have a good game on Christmas, I think they play the Heat on Christmas. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be a game that people watch. They'll probably roll the Heat, to be honest, or whoever they play. I feel like people then, if the Bulls are still,
I think they play San Antonio on Christmas. Actually,
that's what it is. Yeah, San Antonio. That sounded way better. That's going to be a way fun game. First off, but also with that, I mean, once Christmas comes through or whatnot, and the Bulls are still playing at the level they are right now, I feel like that's when the legitimacy will kind of start to set in. Because I feel like so many people are just so skeptical of the Bulls, just because so many of the names and characters they have on this team, and I feel like the NBA as a whole is really down on Fred Hoiberg. I really do think this team is pretty good.
Or maybe it's just your buddy Peck who is not too hot, and you're getting sick of hearing about it.
You're a Hoiberg hater. I know it's okay, but I feel like in general, a lot of people in the NBA, or at least NBA fans, even people I respect a lot, like Zach Lowe is not very sold on Fred Hoiberg. Bill Simmons hates the guy. He says he hates college coaches, which is hilarious because he's a Celtics fan and Brad Stevens is his coach. But anyways, I feel like a lot of the America itself is just so used to how terrible and dragging the Bulls were last season, where all they had to do was win 6 games into the season. They couldn't even do that. That's
Brad Flanders is going to come out of his shell. They'll make the playoffs and he'll get his respect. Oakley dokley.
Plus, I think the loss of Derrick Rose really makes people think the Bulls aren't good, just because I think they hear Derrick Rose as a Knick or whatever. They probably assume the Knicks are really good. The Bulls aren't the greatest. I feel like there's so many.
Well, if they looked at
fans,
they looked at D Rose's efficiency stats from last season, then they wouldn't be saying that. But
exactly.
John, you bring up an interesting point though about the lack of nationally televised Bulls games thus far. And it makes me think about whether this Friday coming up, there's a big one. I mean, that is a big measuring stick for the Bulls because, look, they have some impressive wins on the road against Portland and Utah. In that those are 2 very likely playoff teams in the Western Conference. They've pretty sure they've beaten the Pacers. They've beaten Atlanta. So
yeah.
It's they have some good wins, but as far as Eastern Conference contenders, so clearly the Cavs here and then everybody else right around here, starting with perhaps the Bulls, the Bulls and the Raptors are both 10-6 right now. It's a huge gap. Yes, the Bulls are right there battling for 2, 3, and 4 in the East right now, and they might, if they keep this up, be battling for a top 4 seed in April. They fare against Cleveland and LeBron on Friday, and that will largely tell you if this Bulls team is for real or not. Can they hang with?
Yeah, I agree with you there. That'll be a huge measuring stick. So
yeah, it would have sucked if LeBron hurt himself while he was dancing on the sidelines at the Ohio State game. I would have been all tore up.
Would you?
Dude.
Yeah, all tore up.
Oh man, would your fantasy team be in trouble? Your fantasy basketball team?
Well, I don't participate in fantasy basketball.
Did you guys before we move on? Did you guys hear this stuff about LeBron and J.R. Smith wanting to explore their college eligibility to play? LeBron wants to play for Ohio State's football team.
Please do.
God, no.
Please do. I hope he does. And a linebacker just destroys him. And then there that goes.
Actually, no. You know what, Zoe? You're right. I love this idea. I didn't think of it like that.
All for it.
But you just know, like, J.R. Smith would just, like, be somehow ridiculously good. Like, just because he's J.R. Smith. Would be rocking the Ezekiel Elliott, like, crop top jersey and somehow, like, would just, like, do some ridiculous move, break some ankles and score on, like, a 90-yard kick return, something stupid like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I could see JR, like, returning kicks. LeBron, you got to throw at, like, a tight end or –
Dude, JR would totally be, like, the Deshaun Jackson of punt returns. Like, he would just, like, run 20 yards backwards thinking that he was going to return it 80 yards for a touchdown, and instead yard loss. That's totally the type of returner that J.R. Smith would be.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But yeah,
that being said, though, would watch.
Oh, that would be, yes, appointment television. And I would be watching mainly to hopefully see LeBron try to go up and get a ball and get helicoptered by 3 guys and just be like, yep, this was dumb. And I'm done with basketball too. So I'm going to take my $1 billion and just live on an island. And I'll be happy. Just works out. You heard it here first, folks. So what's going to happen if that goes down?
I like that.
I'd be fine with that.
I think a lot of Bulls fans would. Peck, I thought you were a big LeBron fan. I'm wrong?
That's weird. Huge LeBron fan. Little known fact. Matthew Peck, biggest closet LeBron fan out there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. You guys can't see it, but if you look, he has the door closed behind him right now. But if you open his closet door, it's one of those life sizes of LeBron with, like, the measuring tape. Like what you get it for free, just see how big you're growing. Yeah. It's pretty awesome. It's even better that he's frozen right now, so he can't say anything back to us.
Yeah, that's great.
You good, Peck?
Man.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right, maybe next time you don't hide your life-size cutout of LeBron, but we'll show it to the people.
Man, it's okay. We all have a little love for LeBron.
It's not a big deal. He was kind of funny in the movie Trainwreck. All right.
Low key. So let's talk some hockey.
Fine, I will.
Little puck talk. What do you think? What do you say?
I will.
All right. Well, the Blackhawks are also wrapping up their circus trip, if you will. They'll be coming to a close tonight versus the Florida Panthers. We still don't know if Captain Hawk will be participating. He has missed the last 2 games. Some are saying upper body. The video looks like lower body. Basically, he hurts, so he's not playing. Which
he's in pain.
But they did confirm that it's not a head injury, right?
Yes, and that was actually a very big deal. That was like one of those moments where I saw that news come out, and it was like, whoo, like, okay, because he's getting dangerously close to scrambled eggs level. Like, he's taken a couple concussions, and you never know when the next one's going to be the last one, and I don't ever want to see that. So I was very happy to hear that it was not a head injury. They've upgraded him to, like, day-to-day, so we're going to be playing the get out your Coach Quinville Dakota rings for the next, couple weeks and try to figure out what all this is going on. But they beat the Ducks, which is always a big win.
Q is going to bring in John Fox to his press conference to just dodge questions left and right.
No, see, Fox sucks at it. Everyone just knows Fox is bullshit. But Q is like a master. That's why you have your Coach Quinville Dakota rings. We should actually make those, and we'd probably be really rich. So they beat the Ducks, which is always a big win, especially when you're playing without Jonathan Taves. The Ducks are very big down the middle of the ice, very physical team. They definitely came at the Hawks. It was a great game to watch, which it always is. Anytime really they play any of these California teams, it's always a good watch. They lost to the Kings in OT. Again, another team that is very talented down the middle of the ice. So when number 19 is not out there for the Hawks, you're at a disadvantage right away. Here's the stat I want to throw out to you, because before he got hurt, there was some people that were What's wrong with Taves? Maybe Taves shouldn't be on the first line. Ooh, dude, like there was literally people on Twitter that thought that it might be a good idea to see what they can get for Taves, which is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. Again, that is an open invitation for you if you think that to go play in traffic. Taves is going to be a Blackhawk for life. Like, let's just deal with that. But, he's not very valuable, you say. Well, let's take a look at our face-off percentages from the Ducks game and the Kings game. In the game against Anaheim was a 73.1% winner in the face-off circle versus the Blackhawks. So that's 26.9% for you math majors out there. And then versus the LA Kings, LA dominated that stat with 63.8% of the face-offs went LA's way. So right there, that is a –
And for what it's worth, isn't Kopitar hurt for the season? Like, he's not even in the face-off circle for them right now, right?
I don't know if he's out for the season. We'll look into that. We'll have our stat monkey.
He's hurt right now, though. I think.
Check it out. So,
yeah, he is.
Yes, he is. But
he's hurt right now. So that was – they wouldn't even go up against Kopitar, which is super embarrassing because the Kings have like almost no centerman besides Kopitar.
So they're getting dominated at the dot. And anyone that watches hockey knows, especially when you're killing penalties, which Jonathan Toews is one of your best penalty killing forwards, especially if you don't win that faceoff, the percentages of the other team's possibility to score skyrocket. That defensive zone faceoff on the penalty kill is probably one of the most important, if not the most important part of a successful penalty kill. So when you don't have 19 on the ice who is a master at that, you're automatically at a huge disadvantage, which, again, the Hawks did play fairly well without him, but you can tell they miss him. They miss him in the locker room. They miss him on the ice. I mean, he's their general, dude. Like, Coach Quinville is like the 5-star, like, high-ranking dude that has like the pretty gnarly map in the office, and he plays with like the little figures and he like strategizes. But like out on the field of battle, Jonathan Toews is the best ice general. I made up a new term right there. We're going to go with that. T-shirts coming soon. He is the best ice general in the league. And, you know, the Players Tribute is a fantastic site. I love the Players Tribute because you do get a little bit of an insight from, you know, what the players think and all this stuff. Any hockey player that writes, Jonathan Quick did toughest duos in the league. Obviously, Kane and Toews were on his list because he's got the Kings and the Hawks have some pretty great playoff history. But then you get these other forwards in the league that are right, and defensemen in the league, like Kevin Shattenkirk, like these very respected players in the league. Logan Couture is one of the most recent ones. He is a centerman for the San Jose Sharks. He wrote about his top 5 centers, and number 1 was Jonathan Toews. And I thought he paid him like the highest compliment I think one player can pay another one. He said he doesn't do anything great, but he's not bad at anything either. He is just good at everything, and it is the most annoying thing to play against in the league because he goes into every board battle, even though he's smaller than a lot of these guys. He goes into every board battle thinking he's going to win it. He knows how a play is going to develop before anyone else on the ice. Like, he's that smart. Like, if you read this article on the Players Tribute, I'll find it, tweet it out from our @312pod. I mean, Logan just puts him on
like sort of like that, like the gym class hero identity. Like, this guy's not the star on a varsity team on any sport, but you go in and play him in any team sport in gym class, and he's just owning guys up and down the court.
Right. I mean, let's put it. He's not. Kane is a better offensive player than Toews. Hossa is a better back checker than Toews.
Yeah.
But like, Toews is really good at everything though. Like, complete. Like, Toews Kane, he's gotten better, but I wouldn't pick him on like a defensive line. And I mean, God bless Hossa, but he's not nearly as fast as he used to be. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, I'm taking Toews.
There's not there. I mean, the point of it is there really isn't a two-way player quite like Jonathan Toews. There might be players that do things better than him, but there's no one that can do all the things he can do as good as he does. That's what makes him so damn good.
Thank you for putting it into terms that people can understand. But
yeah.
And even without Taves out for these couple games, they're holding on. They're getting points. Hawks got 31 points. They got the most points in the Western Conference right now, which
I thought it was big that they got 3 out of 4 points in those final 2 road games that
without Taves.
Just get a point against
and
they're
really
struggling.
like they did not play that well against the Kings. I'm glad that they managed to salvage a point there. The Blackhawks and Zoe, I'm curious what you think about this. 17 shots on goal against the Kings and that overtime loss that was tied for a season low. Mm-hmm. This is something the Blackhawks players have talked about. Coach Q with this same core style of hockey that's really been proven to be more dominant than the ugly hockey that some of their main competition plays. Sometimes feels like they get a little too fancy, getting pucks to the net and getting bodies passing and waiting for that perfect series of passes. And sometimes you just want to yell at them like, shoot the goddamn puck.
Yeah,
does that frustrate you at all?
It frustrates me more when people in bars scream, shoot the puck at the TV. So as a PSA, don't do that. Just don't do that.
Shoot the puck. Shoot it.
I mean, like hockey fans who don't know what they're watching and like are just constantly yelling, shoot the puck is one thing. But because they tie their season low in shots on goal in this loss to the King, something that keeps in my mind again. And as it is really frustrating sometimes when they don't shoot the puck.
I know exactly what you mean. I call it when they go into Globetrotter mode. They're trying to make the cha-na-na play every time down the ice. And it's actually been an issue with this team. I'm not pinning it on one player, but if you really want to think about it, it kind of started when 88 joined the squad because that's when it got a little bit more flashy, but that's the whole way the NHL is going. Like, there's no more goons in the NHL. You can't have a guy that skates with a piano on his back just because he's got heavy hands. Like, it's a fast-paced finesse game now, which is awesome. I love it. I think it makes for way more entertaining hockey. But
it's way more fun.
I know what you're saying, though, Peck. When they're doing the cycle, and then they have an open lane to the net, but instead they do like a no-look dump-off pass to make it look pretty, and you're like, what are you doing? Like, pepper the fucking net.
Yeah.
But
drives me crazy.
I know what you mean.
Well, there was, what was it? The Anaheim game with the Ducks, they scored 3 goals off of 15 shots.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
And I think it was the first period. Like, what? Like, just like it, I mean, sometimes, and while they're minimizing these shots or whatnot, and it happens in the postseason. You'll see those shot numbers go up. They won't be as high as other teams, but I mean, the Blackhawks know when they got to throw pucks to the net. So I mean, it's frustrating, like you said, because they're just trying to be a little too fine with the puck, hot dogging it, whatever you want to determine. Is basically they're dicking around with the puck and not shoot, and it gets annoying.
It looks like the Globetrotters, like they're trying to
one too many passes. Sweet Georgia Brown is playing in their head, and they really need to just be thinking about Chelsea Dagger.
And it seems to come out the most when they're on the power play. That's when it drives you just insane. But the reason why I brought up the don't yell, shoot it at the TV. At my local watering hole, my bartender, Danny, what up, Danny? I know you listen. He's a big hockey fan, too. So we turn on the hockey game as much as we can with the sound on. And there was this lady who had a couple too many, and she just kept screaming, shoot it at the TV. And at first we were annoyed, and then we're just like, all right. And so she got quiet, and the Hawks had the puck like on the complete other end of the ice, and I just got up and screamed, shoot it! At the top of my lungs, and she looked at me like, why would they shoot it from there? I go, I don't know. Why would they? I don't know. And it's just, I don't know. Just don't be that guy. All right. They're professional hockey players. Have you guys ever seen that PSA that I forget the guy's name. He's a younger player on the Edmonton Oilers. He did it's like a fake cribs, and they go to his house and he's playing pond hockey, and he goes, well, first and foremost, I just want to thank everybody for yelling shoot it while we're out there playing, because if it wasn't for you, I mean, how would I know when to shoot the puck? I mean, I've only been playing this game since I was 2, and you guys are the real MVPs out there, and like it's absolutely hilarious, and it just touches on everything. I love it. The only thing worse than the shoot it person is the hit him. Oh. Hit him! Yeah, that's not a good idea right now. But so yeah, the Hawks they're rolling. They should beat Florida tonight. I think they take care of business with or without Taves. Personally, if it was me, I'm not playing Taves because this Florida team is in complete disarray right now. They just fired their coach out of nowhere. It was kind of funny because they fired him and then like he had to like stand outside the stadium with his luggage and like wait for a cab. It was like super sad and like depressing. So they got a brand new coach, team struggling. Some of their key players are hurt. Like kind of what you were saying, Peck, about why was Danny Trevathan in for that no-point play to get hurt? Why would you play Taves not at 100% in this kind of, I don't want to say meaningless, but, it's a November game versus the Florida Panthers. Like,
right.
Just
quite honestly, a game that even without Taser, Coach Q's got to feel pretty good about his chances to get a W tonight, even if he holds out Taves to make sure that he is.
Right, and before we go on to our hot talks, I just want to point out that Ryan Hartman's on fire, and he is way better than Andrew Shaw. That's just your daily reminder from Zoe. So
yeah, he had 3 goals on that road trip, right?
Kid's playing lights out right now. You can tell his confidence is through the roof. He's playing good, and you know what he's not doing? This is kind of fun. He's not taking dumb penalties. You know who is?
That was mean.
You know who's taking dumb penalties in Montreal right now? Andrew Shaw.
Is it Andrew Shaw?
It's Andrew Shaw. It's Andrew Shaw.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he's leading that team in penalty minutes right
now.
Yeah,
I subscribe to a lot of fantasy hockey newsletters, and I got one today, and the first thing that said is if you're in a league that you get points for penalty minutes, you need Andrew Shaw on your team. That's what you bring. I'm dead serious, and that's actually a thing in some hockey leagues. It drives me nuts. But anyways, so Hartman better than Shaw. We'll just we'll keep that watch. I'm going to call that Hartman watch, and I will try to bring it up at least once a week for all of you because I am driving this point into all of your skulls that it's okay that Andrew Shaw's not on the Blackhawks anymore and Ryan Hartman is better than him. So let's go to the hot stove. Where our guy over here, Sean, doing some investigative journalism type stuff, like capital J journalist type stuff, talking to Major League scouts about Chris Sale. So, Sean, I'm just going to kind of sit back here. Why don't you tell the people what your I feel so professional right now. Why don't you tell the people what your source told you about a potential landing spot for Chris Sale?
Yeah, so I was reaching out to a couple scouts, actually. I was able to talk to a few, and a few of them came back to me. And when I asked about Chris Sale, they were saying that so far that the consensus right now for most scouts and most people in the know for Major League Baseball is that they think the Rangers are the team that are most likely going to make that deal and, grab Chris Sale. The two things they pointed out to me right away was that the Rangers are almost 100% positive that Yu Darvish is going to opt out of his contract. He's got an opt-out clause for this offseason. They think he's going to do it, which in that case, I mean, he's making, I think it's $60 million. It's a lot of money, but, I mean, some of the money, geez, it's half of what John Lester makes. So, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. He'll get paid, but the Rangers are pretty much positive that Yu Darvish is gone. Even if he doesn't opt out this year, they're almost positive he won't re-sign after next season. So at this point, it's either let him walk or try and trade him, I guess, for nothing. So their goal, I guess, at this point is to try and go after Chris Sale. The other interesting part I've heard, and Ken Rosenthal confirmed this too today, which I thought was interesting. The Rangers are apparently okay with the idea of maybe trading Rogden Odor, who was their kind of coming out of nowhere second baseman. Yeah. The guy hit 33 home runs this year, was easily the Rangers' best hitter in a lineup that included some really impressive names like Adrian Beltre and Joey Gallo and people like of that nature, Jonathan Lucroy eventually ended up over there, Carlos Beltran. So they've got some potential good bats, but Rogden Odor is mainly the big piece. Apparently the Rangers feel pretty comfortable letting Judson Profar step back into that second baseman role, and they have another player in Andy Ibanez, who is their number 2 prospect overall right now. They think he could potentially be something. So if the right deal came along, they would consider trading Rogden Odor. Ken Rosenthal didn't directly say that, but he put a piece out today, 6 untouchable players that could potentially be traded for Chris Sale, and Odor was that guy for the Rangers. That's what I heard from a couple of the guys. So
wait. Dude that knocked out Joey Batista?
Yes, it is. Yeah, same. One and the same. I actually think. Okay, before we're gonna go a little ridiculous here. Do you guys not think his name sounds like a cologne that like Johnny Depp would be in a commercial for, like Rogden Odor?
I just always thought it was Odor. I thought like the guy just had a terrible childhood because his last name was Odor, and that's why he has.
Well, if it's Odor is like the fancy, like European way of saying odor. So it's like, I see what you're saying, John.
It's like when people say Target instead of Target.
Joe Dirt,
exactly.
Right?
Don't try to class it up, Dirt.
So, but yeah, so that's what I'm hearing.
Buffet.
All right. Well, follow-up question to that, Sean. Which, by the way, good work on getting all that scoop. But do you really think that this potential package that Texas can put together is the absolute best the White Sox can do for Chris Sale?
Is that the best they could do? Probably not. I don't think that's the best they could do. I think the Red Sox could potentially offer a bigger deal. Maybe the Dodgers could as well. Rosenthal kind of referenced the idea that maybe Julio Urias could be a guy that's included in a deal. The Red Sox have a ton of potential guys. Our current White Sox writer, Dan, I don't even know how to say his last name, Fagiano or something along the lines of that. He's been reporting that the Red Sox were going to potentially throw in Jackie Bradley Jr., who on paper sounds like a great guy, but the Red Sox have a couple really good outfielders that I would rather see the White Sox go after. Honestly, I just think the Rangers are going to be the team that offers them the most maybe talent, like readily usable talent, and probably the most players for Chris Sale, just because I think the Rangers really need a pitcher. I think they kind of see that Cole Hamels, while a really solid pitcher, is probably a number 2 at this point. The prospects they have pitching-wise aren't ready and won't be ready for another couple of years. The team they have right now is built to win right now, at least with some of the pieces they have. So they've got some younger guys they could eventually grow into, but to have Jonathan Lucroy, to have Cole Hamels, all their pitching and whatnot is meant to kind of be these next 2 years. So that's why I kind of see the Rangers making sense. And it kind of, I could see Chris Sale being very happy with the trade to the Rangers, probably because he's from Texas. And then also because, Rangers are one of the few teams where any pitcher joins that team and they probably makes him an instant contender, if not already.
Yeah. So. Sean, it's interesting that you say that. I'm looking here at the postseason Rangers and the Blue Jays in that ALDS series, and I think you were one of the people on Sports Mockery's staff to correctly predict that the Rangers were. But the Rangers were sort of the American League powerhouse for the entirety of the season, and certainly had high expectations. You look at what their 3 starters did as they got swept by Darvish, 5 earned runs in his start. Hamels, 6 earned runs in his start. Colby Lewis, 5 earned runs in his start. So it makes sense that the Rangers are looking for perhaps a fresh ace to add to that rotation, especially if Hugh Darvish is kind of a question mark at this point. And if it's, as we've said before, it all comes down to pitching in the postseason, and they flat out did not get it done against that hot Blue Jays team.
Yeah, and it sucks because you can't even be like, well, we all know Chris Sale's a great pitcher in the playoffs. We don't know that. We don't know.
We don't know that.
We don't know that.
We don't know that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
What's that like? What's the playoffs like?
I don't know, man. Oy vey. So let's talk about the team that did make the playoffs. Your World Series champion Chicago Cubs. So apparently it looks like their strategy so far in the hot stove season, if you will, is young pitchers.
Yeah.
We've talked about Chris Archer a little bit. Charlie Blackmon is another name that's being thrown out there. Archie Bradley, Robbie Ray. I don't know. Who do you think is more realistic?
Well, just to clarify, Charlie Blackmon is an outfielder, so he's an outfielder for the Rockies. But honestly, the Rays came out and said a couple days ago that pretty much every pitcher on their staff is available.
Okay.
So, I mean, Chris Archer's the big name that I wrote about, but guys like Jake Orduzzi, Drew Smiley, even Alex Cobb, they're pretty good closer, are all guys that the Rays would probably listen to. I just think Chris Archer, out of all those pitchers, is probably the best one, or at least has the highest potential or highest ceiling, maybe, I guess you could say, even though he's only 28, or he's already 28. His contract is incredible. Right now, this coming season in 2017, first off, Chris Archer is in team control for till 2021.
Wow.
For next season, he makes $4.5 million. The season after that, it's $6.25. The season after that, it's $7.5. And then his 2 option years in 2020 and 2021 are $9 million apiece. That's incredible. Even if he gives you numbers, I mean, this season was rough. He saw his ERA go from roughly about 3.20 to close to 4. His second half numbers regulated back to what he normally throws, about 3.30, 3.40. Was walking less guys, gave up less home runs, but his home run totals shot up incredibly to I think he gave close to 30 home runs last year when his highest totals ever were 9. So he was getting crushed. And the Trop, that's kind of interesting. So, but the thing that makes him kind of hard to move, I think, would one be his contract. The Rays, while needing to get maybe younger and find some better younger players to kind of get ready to compete in 2 or 3 years, his contract's incredible. I mean, why would you get rid of something like that if you don't absolutely need to? So, yeah, the Rays sound like they're probably have to be blown away for a trade. The other thing is they're trying to move out of that stadium. And I don't know if they're trying to move out of Tampa or somewhere else in Florida or just somewhere else entirely.
No, they want to move around. They want to go more into St. Pete. They want to build it more on the golf side of things,
which makes sense.
Yeah,
more touristy attraction, more people go there across to Tampa. But if they want to move there, Chris Archer is one of the few guys that's a franchise face that people will know. Maybe him and Evan Longoria. I feel like people forget Longoria is even on the Rays. So I could see them maybe want to hold on to Chris Archer. That's kind of why I could see these 2 pitchers in Arizona being someone they can consider.
What's it going to take to get Chris Archer? What kind of package?
From what I was hearing, it sounds like it's going to take either Ian Happ or Eloy Jimenez, plus Jorge Soler, who's just going to be pretty much included in every single trade the Cubs had this offseason, and potentially another pitcher, whether that's Dylan Cease, Dwayne Underwood, another pitcher like Jake Stinick, someone like that. It's going to have to be a sweetener. I don't think Carl Edwards is a guy that Joe Madden will give up.
Okay.
I think he's one of the few guys that Joe Madden really trusts. If it was Carl Edwards, it would be Carl Edwards and Jorge Soler probably for Chris Archer. I don't think the Rays would do that just because they need younger players and cheap players. But I would think it'd be a prospect. I'm sorry, what was that?
Would they at all be interested in Jorge Soler?
I mean, no, yes. I mean, they should. I think the Rays are probably a team where Soler's young. I think people forget how young he really is. He's only 23 years old. Or 24 years old. He's got plenty of pop in his bat. I think if he moved to a team in the American League, he's going to get the bats he needs to finally figure out if he's good or not. Just because in the National League, especially with the Cubs right now, he's probably their 4th outfielder. His bat is probably good enough to be a starter. His defense makes it rough sometimes. If he's able to DH, he's going to get the bats necessary to make him a better player. Because all the Cubs can do right now is let him kind of get his casual bats when they can, or send him down to the minors where he doesn't really get better. So,
right, and scenario perhaps moving to a warmer climate, which quite honestly would help.
Yeah, it could help. The one downside though is the Rays do play in a dome.
His bat freeze up.
Yeah, you're cutting it out. I didn't know what you were saying, but I get the gist of it. You're saying that his bat would probably work better in a warmer climate, like in Toronto or like in the Tampa Bay area, which doesn't make sense. So when it comes to these Arizona players or pitchers, it was something I heard from one of the guys I was talking to, one of my sources. He said the Cubs are talking to Arizona right before they made their big deal for Taiwan Walker, sending Gene Segura to the Marlins. That deal is kind of important because now it gives Arizona enough ammo to kind of maybe flip one of these younger players or pitchers to obtain some young players that the Cubs might have. So it makes it maybe a little more team-friendly of a deal here for the Diamondbacks. They might be interested in flipping one of these guys. So
interesting. Well, this is all definitely something we're going to keep an eye on. You guys are going to want to make sure for all those Bulls crazy stats and everything of that nature, make sure you're following what Peck's doing at Sports Mockery. Sean's got his pulse on the hot stove right now, so make sure you're staying up with him on all these stories about Chris Sale and all these other crazy cuckoo banana hot stove scenarios that might be happening. But for now, we're going to need to wrap this up. So let's get into our peanut gallery segment here. This is where we're going to find your comments from our Twitter, Facebook land, and we're either going to laugh at you or with you. So, Sean, what do you got for your peanut gallery?
My peanut gallery is actually going to come from all the people that tweeted at me when I put out this information that we just talked about the last couple of days. People, particularly today with the Chris Sale stuff, I had a couple sources and I didn't really want to name them just because the information they were telling me, isn't sensitive, but it's stuff that I think teams don't necessarily want to get out quite yet. So plenty of people are like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't have sources. Believe it or not, it's hard for me to believe too. People are actually telling me information and I'm not making this up. As crazy as that is, I actually have people that trust me with stuff like that. So I know it's hard for you to believe. It's hard for me to believe, but I'm not some jackass making shit up. I've got some dudes telling me this is what's going on. So when I post something, I'm not making it up.
Yep. Well, clarify, you are
on the SmackDown.
But
yeah, you are. I mean, you are a jackass.
You're not making it up though, so we'll give you that.
I am a jackass. Yeah. So my particularly my peanut gallery is going to go out to Jacob, who I tweeted back and forth here for a little bit. Basically reread my Chris Archer story back to me, which was pretty interesting. He clearly read the headline and just didn't whatever. So we did end up having a pretty good conversation over Twitter. I will give Jacob credit. He is a smart baseball guy. I just don't think he read my story. So I think he just assumed I was an idiot. But,
Fair
it was fun, Jacob. Let's do it again sometime.
Fair assumption. I mean, we are going live with these videos now, so people can't see you.
That's true.
Just saying.
I am the white one.
People know what you look like, Sean.
I am the Caucasian one with a facial hair.
That narrows it down. All right, Peck.
Excuse me? What was that, Sean?
What do you have with your peanut gallery?
I'm actually going to give some kudos to somebody I thought who had a well-thought-out argument here, because we do like to give shout-outs on Peanut Gallery that are people who seem to have comments as opposed to just making fun of stupid ones. So this was from an article that I believe our senior Bears writer, Eric Lambert,
Oh, did he now?
It's going to be a good one, too.
I bet you it was real good. Push it real good.
This thing has lost to Tennessee on the matter of whether or not this is mostly John Fox's fault. Injuries have been killer this year, no doubt about that. An excuse for a lack of preparation. Even with bad luck and player health, the Bears should not be 2-8 right now. The Bears should not have been blown out by the Buccaneers after an entire bye week of practice. It's inexcusable to look that lost and clueless. We will about the injuries or bad coordinators. Ultimately, it falls on John Fox's plate. He should be handcuffing Dow Loggins if he can't even out the balancing of his play calling or adjust his play calling to fit his current cast of players. Adam Gase was capable of doing this, referencing Josh McDaniels and the work he's done with the Patriots. Competent offensive coordinators can adapt and adjust. Loggins is incompetent, and John Fox is at fault for not reacting and controlling him. Halftime adjustments is also on John Fox. Head coaches utilize halftimes to tweak their game and put up a second-half fight to close a point gap or put the game away. The Bears have failed miserably in this regard. And I have to say, money. Look, you can say what you want about all these Bears injuries, but in my opinion, and it's really the point he makes about half-time adjustments or lack thereof. Yes, the half comeback or a fourth quarter comeback against Tennessee, but how much of that was Tennessee playing indifferent prevent defense for those 3 drives in the fourth quarter? I don't give a whole lot of credit for adjustment there. You look at what they did against the Giants. You look at what they did when they had the Jacksonville Jaguars and did absolutely nothing different in the second half of those games. Fox and his staff are absolutely terrible at right now. But hard to not put fault on this coaching staff when you look at the way they've lost these games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. And it boggles my mind to see all these people that are pining for John Fox to stay another year and things of that nature. I don't get it. But my peanut gallery is more just informative. If you didn't know by now, we are broadcasting live on YouTube. We've been tweeting out the links and stuff like that. So if for some reason you want to watch us record these podcasts, we are live, so you can be watching us. We'll tweet out the YouTube link. Obviously, the show is going to remain the same. You can catch it on iTunes and things of that nature. We need you to keep rating and reviewing the show on iTunes and Google Play. It's very important. Need you guys to do that. But also, if you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, be even cooler. So make sure you're doing that. And then we're going to try to put these videos in post now on Sports Mockery. So if you can't listen to us on an iPad device or anything like that, and you want to throw the earbuds in at work, you could play the video and kind of listen. And if you want to watch, go for it.
Yeah.
Let's bring her home. Let's do some buzzer beaters. Sean, you weren't here last show, so what's your buzzer beater, buddy? Yeah.
I go first?
Yeah.
All right. My buzzer beater is actually going to go out to – my buzzer beater is going out actually to Max Domi from the Arizona Coyotes. It's funny because Zoe was just saying how he hates some people, always say like, oh, fight or whatever. Domi came in late on a play after I think Kessler maybe kind of held one of his guys or did something or whatnot to one of the Coyotes. He came in late, was ready to drop the gloves. He's a couple inches shorter than Kessler. Kessler was like, oh, you want to do this? You're going to do this. Okay, so they shake the gloves off, get ready to go. Domi throws one uppercut. Kessler's out. Kessler's done. Down for the count, never getting back up, just dead. Like, oh. And then Domi nails him once, throws one more, just literally from that point just goes into the box. Doesn't even doesn't even need an official, whatever. Nails him twice. He's in the box. He's sitting down. He's chilling. It was so it happened so fast. You were just like, what?
Yeah.
So shout out to Max.
This was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
It was a couple weeks ago. I just saw this for the first time.
Well, do yourself a favor and go ahead and use the YouTube machine. And use his daddy. YouTube Ty Domi.
Yeah.
You want to see someone who could fight? Watch it. He didn't just make that uppercut up. He learned that from his daddy. Because his daddy was the same way, short little dude, and he just destroyed people. He has some of the best bouts of all time, including one with Bob Probert, that if they were doing that in a ring in Vegas, they would have made millions of dollars because it is just blood. It is a bloodbath. It is a fantastic fight. But yeah, Max definitely looks like his father's son, but he's got a little bit more skill. But it was a very impressive knockout for sure. And it was Ryan Kessler, and screw Ryan Kessler.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Peck, what do you got, bud?
Kessler. All right. Well, you may be aware of this already, but I just learned about it over the weekend. I saw a trailer pop through one of my various news feeds on Twitter or Facebook or something. They're making a sequel to Goon.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Ooh.
It's called Goon: Last of the Enforcers, and it's due out in March of 2017. Apparently, like there's a lockout of the NHL, so their Halifax Highlanders unite with a bunch of new players. I could not be more excited. Such an underrated movie. I'm so excited about this. I only got 2 rules. 1, don't touch my Percocet. And 2, do you have any Percocets? I'm so excited for this friggin' sequel.
He's a beach ball. You get it? Because he's bigger than a puck. Yeah, no, Goon 2, I've been closely following it. Goon is probably one of my top 5 sports movies. I know people are going to yell at me. I got yelled at when I wrote this article 4 years ago. But I love Goon. It's a fantastic movie. It's hilarious. I can't wait. There's a lot of current NHL players making cameos.
TJ Miller, Tyler Seguin, like a bunch of people are going to be in this movie.
Yeah, because the first one was awesome. So I can't wait for that one either. Now I'm just thinking of different lines in my head, and it's fantastic. We're going to need more sound clips from Goon into the show. So we'll try to figure out how to incorporate that.
I'll hop on that.
Also,
yes. Well, my buzzer beater goes out again, like I usually do, to you, the listeners, the fans of the show. We keep constantly getting more and more positive feedback, more and more positive support from everyone. And, you know, I'm not going to take the humble road on this. We like that shit. So keep that shit coming. It's awesome. We really appreciate it. If you have any suggestions or anything you would like us to try or anything like that in the new year, please feel free to tweet at us at 312pod. You know, we'll always listen. You know, why not? We got some new things that are going to be coming your way next year, including some sweet merch that I've already gotten to take a look at some previews of. I'm actually wearing one of the newer T-shirts now, and I can tell you right now it is one of the softest, most comfortable shirts I've ever owned, and I'm a big T-shirt guy, so that's a big mountain to climb with me. So we appreciate it.
Endorsement.
We appreciate it. Keep it coming. At 312pod, at Sports Mockery, Facebook.com/SportsMockery. We'll probably have a 312pod Facebook page sooner or later. So that's about it for tonight. Stay warm out there. It's all cold and nasty and rainy and it's supposed to be this way for a little bit. But for Sean Sears, Matt Peck, I'm Matt Zawoski. That's our show for today. Be cool, Chicago. We'll see you on Thursday.